Breathing. Maybe you're doing it right now, but how does this actually look like? How would you make a stop motion puppet move like this? And how much does it really add to a character as a whole? Hi, I'm Valentin and I'm working on this stop motion movie called An Unwound Clockwork for over a decade now. During that time, I used every opportunity to try out new techniques, to push my limits and to learn a whole lot about stop motion filmmaking in the process. For example, this puppet here. It's the human boss character, and in the movie he needed to eat and chew, breathe heavily and be angry, which are all quite challenging movements. So in this video series I want to walk you through each of the aspects of this puppet, show our ideas and failures and the working end results, of course. So let's start by talking about the armature inside this belly. First thing you'll notice is that it's just an upper body without legs. And the reason for that is that he's sitting behind his desk all the time, which makes it much easier to leave them out entirely. Still, it's super important that he can move around in his chair, turn from side to side and bend forward. Luckily, I had this giant ball and socket tripod head lying around, which seemed like a perfect starting point. He can really move super smoothly on this base, and the stiffness of the joint is easily adjustable. Sadly though, it tends to stick a bit after it was tightened, which can be super annoying when animating. I really wanted him to breathe visibly in the movie, and this giant belly of his seemed perfect to hide a sophisticated mechanism to achieve this exact motion. Just at that time I came around a super impressive breathing mech by my colleague Jim Randall, which totally blew my mind. I mean, look at this! How would you even start designing a linkage system like this? Huge thanks to Jim for letting me use this footage and for being a source of inspiration over the years. Please check out his social media if you want to see more of his beautiful armatures, links in the description. Well, it took me quite some time to figure out what's actually going on here, but then I really wanted to give it a try myself. Of course, I wouldn't just copy Jim's design, but instead try finding another, hopefully simpler way of achieving a very similar motion. So, how does breathing actually look like? The movement is comprised of multiple components. So the chest and belly extend forward, while the chest is slightly lifted, and the sides extend a bit outwards. So the main component of this movement could be achieved with a single lever hinged around the sternum, which can be moved by a screw pushing it from the back. Something like this. Adding the sideways extensions was a bit more challenging, but it seemed necessary to make it feel organic and less mechanical. So suppose we add some side flaps to the existing lever. They will naturally follow the lifting motion and just need to be pushed outwards at the same time. That was tricky, but then I had the idea that I just need to push them faster than the main lever, which I could achieve by using two different thread pitches on the main drive screw. Maybe that's easier to see in action, so let's jump right into the assembly. That's all the components, but sadly I don't have footage of me machining them, but just imagine the usual milling, boring, tapping and soldering operations. So these are the two carriages which will move at different speeds on the two sections of the lead screw. As I didn't have my lathe back then, I used some actual screws for this purpose. Some lubrication to make it move smoothly. A first look at the differential movement of the two carriages here. Now the main belly lever is attached and moving well. So let's add those side flaps. Now, time to examine the motion this can produce. When driving the screw at the character's back, the first carriage on the small screw pushes out the main lever. Simultaneously, there is this second carriage on the big screw, catching up to the first one. It's connected to the side flaps via these universal ball joint linkages to allow for the misaligned directions of movement. As the distance to the first carriage is reduced, the side flaps are pushed outwards. When looking at the movement as a whole, I think it already looks like breathing, especially when the timing is right. There's probably just a bit too much movement down at the belly, and if the character wouldn't be sitting behind a desk all the time, I would probably add another lever to have a smoother transition between the belly and the static hip region. But for this character, I think it's fine as it is. For the arms and neck, I've used ball and socket joints from Kinetic Armatures, and of course you also got a pair of my fully articulated hand armatures for extra nice finger movements. Then it was time to add some sculpted parts to this mechanism to define the actual shape of his body. For this we used some 3D printed parts, which brings me to the sponsor of this video. PCBWay is an easy-to-use service for manufacturing electronic circuit boards, CNC machined metal components and 3D printed parts from a big variety of materials. Just upload your design files on the website and get an instant quote ready for ordering. When I make armatures, I usually only concentrate on the mechanism itself to create the necessary movement, but for defining organic character shapes, it's usually much easier to use some lightweight 3D prints attached to the metal structure. I actually don't own a 3D printer myself though, because it's honestly much easier to have them manufactured by PCBWay. They offer a big variety of materials, it's quite affordable, and most hobby printers just cannot compete with the industrial printing quality. If you ever need some nice parts manufactured for a project, then please check out PCBWay using the link in my description, and thanks to them again for sponsoring my video. Now, back to our boss character. My friend and puppet maker Ulrich helped to make some simple 3D printed plates, which could be screwed to the brass levers and helped to form the shape of the upper body. Then everything was wrapped in medical pre-wrap, which is quite elastic and helps to bridge the gap between the moving plates. The arms were prepared separately in a similar way. Here you can already see the half-finished puppet with hands and head, ready for a first test to see how the breathing actually looks on the complete body. Is it really worth the trouble just for a small effect like this? Well, it depends. I think it can be a great tool for moments which would be motionless otherwise. For example, if the character pauses, thinks, observes or ponders, it can be used to show his mood and keep him alive while he would be motionless otherwise. But as soon as there are some bigger body movements happening, the breathing becomes basically unnoticeable, so it really depends how the scene plays out exactly. In my movie there are just 2 or 3 moments where it really shines, and it's hard to tell if it was worth it, but I love those shots and I enjoyed the process of figuring it out very much. Okay, that's it for today. Next time we'll figure out how to make him eat and chew and do all sorts of complex mouth movements. This was so nerve-wracking to get working. I'm glad it's over, but don't forget to like and subscribe to see the full story. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and a special thanks to all our Patreon supporters who make projects and videos like this possible in the first place. So, thanks to everyone, have a lovely day and see you next time. Bye bye.